Hey guys, this is Merlin Schumacher with a band list update discussion. This volume 1, I decided to make two parts out of it. First is which cards I estimate that could come off the list, meaning they are no longer banned, restricted, or semi-restricted. And then there will be a second episode where I talk about cards that are very likely to be banned, or restricted, or semi-restricted. And yeah, I'll start off right away with the cards that I think might come off the ban list. There's an amazing amount of 5 cards on the ban list right now that are banned, which I think could possibly come back. And I think that's a really good amount of cards because, since I recall, there's never been that many cards that have been banned who could possibly come back. They were, if you think about cards like Yatagarazu or Curse and Paradragon, Harpy's Feather Dust, etc., etc., those are all cards that well deserve to be banned and will not very likely to be come back. But well, yeah, let's start off right away. First card that could really good come off the ban list, in my opinion, is Magician of Faith. It's a Portuguese one, really cool. I think the card's not overly broken. It's really good though because there's a lot of powerful spells in the game. But on the other hand, it's a slow monster because it's a flip effect, and your opponent can easily play around of it. And there's a lot of monster effects that get around of it. Just say Dolka, Scrub Dragon. People could start running Nobleman of Crossout again. On top of that, it's barely no defense, so if you set it, you risk to be overrun next turn by your opponent, and even if you get back your Heavy Storm or your Pot of Avarice, then won't be of any use for you because you're dead already, or because you took too much damage and won't survive another turn. So it's a risky card to play, but still it's a really good card, so I could really imagine it to go back to 1. I think 1 copy of this isn't too bad. Yeah, nothing more to say. It's like, even if it's a light and which would support the Black Luster Soldier plays, I think it's not too good. Another card that could come off the ban list, which in my opinion won't come off the ban list, but many people think so I thought I'd talk about it a little, is Cyberstein. Cyberstein is a really powerful card. Used to be even better back in the days when play was really slow, and this guy was so strong back with Last Will and the Monarchs. Cyber Dragon just came out, and you could always just go Cyber Dragon Tribute for Zaborg, kill their monster, go Last Will, Cyberstein, pay 5,000, get a Cyber Twin, and deal 8,700 damage in 1 turn, which was pretty awesome. Because back in the days, I think there wasn't even a Mirror Force and way less traps to protect your life. And on top of that, they didn't have Effect Whaler back then. That would be the main argument for me why this card could possibly come back, because once you go Cyberstein, pay 5,000 life points, that's more than half of your life points, and get Whalered, that's devastating. I mean, paying 5,000 life points for +1, which basically happens for that moment, because Whaler is always a -1 in that case, will still be devastating. On top of that, then you have a useless 700, 500 monster in attack position. It's not even got 3 stars, so you could make rank 3 exceeds with it. So I think just because the Effect Whaler sees a lot of play, this card might actually come back. Still, I think it won't, because it's still just capable of dishing out 6,300 damage if you get a Cyber Twin Dragon out, get a 4,000 beer out that tramples with Cyber End, or do a lot of other crazy stuff, so I probably think it won't come back. But one never knows. Konami's done crazy things. I mean, like, they allowed Dark Hole, they brought back Black Luster Soldier, so one never knows. Just have it in the back of my mind, might come back. Then the next card, which I would really like to come back, would be Giant Tsunade. Giant Tsunade with Heavy Storm is like the oldest discussion in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever since both cards were, I think Tsunade was the first one to get limited back in the days, and ever since people started discussing whether Storm or Tsunade was the better card. And in my opinion, Storm is just a ridiculous card that can really decide games on its own. because once you sack the storm from the top and get a +1, +2, or even better of it, um, your opponent basically can't do anything about it. On top of that, people started running Starlight Road, which is a terrible dead card in the main decks just because of Heavy Storm and Dark Hole being in the same format. Um, Also, Giant Tsunade on its own doesn't do anything. You always need to have a good follow-up, like being able to dish out your combos and stuff in order to have a use of it, and it's a -1. Yeah, and the only argument why you would prefer Heavy Storm over Giant Tsunade would be that Heavy Storm can be countered by Stardust Dragon and by Starlight Road, obviously, while Giant Tsunade gets around those. But still, I think that's not a really good argument because Starlight Road, as I said, is a horrible dead card, and I would not want anybody to have to use it just because of Heavy Storm. And Stardust Dragon doesn't hit the field that often anymore in this format, so yeah, I think Giant Tsunade is very likely to come back because Heavy Storm just sucks. It's just a sacky card. Just a good example, especially with MST unlimited to 3. If you start up the game and you got like 2 or 3 protection traps, you always gotta think. If you set 2 and risk the storm, you give your opponent the possibility to sack the storm first hand, blindly activate it, not being afraid of Starlight Road, and get a random +1, which is not just a +1, but leaves you wide open without any protection, and they can probably get another +1 of running over your monster, which is devastating. Or on the other hand, if you just set 1 and be safe from the storm, which is just 1 card of 40 after all, but still happens a lot, then you get MST'd, like blind MST on one set and get overrun as well, which is just, yeah, I think Heavy Storm makes the format more luck-based because people who have the storm more often do sack it more often because you can't always have that Solemn Judgment or Starlight Road, even if you run Starlight Road. But yeah, Heavy Storm's just a sacky card in my opinion. And if they Tsunade you, they always gotta have a follow-up, and there's a lot of hand traps being run, like Whaler, Max C's. And if they Tsunade you, you go Max C, Whaler them, they'll have an auto -X, and either they try to kill you, which is probably not possible with a Whaler, or if you draw the Gauss with your Max C, it's not possible either. So it puts a lot of more risk to cards like Giant Tsunade, while you can always just activate Heavy Storm for random plus, and even if you don't have a follow-up. Yeah, enough talk about Giant Tsunade. Another card that's, in my opinion, could come back, but it's not very likely to come back, is Goyo Guardian. Goyo Guardian is a really, really good synchro card. Level 6, 2800 attack is like amazingly strong. Also the effect's amazing. But with the new XYZ coming out and Konami weakening the synchros altogether, and without new tuner monsters coming out, I think it might be possible to restrict this back to 1, just as a try, because decks like Blackwing or the Synchro Cat, which were able to do instant Goyo Guardian by summoning Blizzard or summoning Rescue Cat, aren't playable anymore. Like Rescue Cat's banned, and Blackwing got the shit out of beaten out of by the last ban list. I mean, like Kalu to 1 and stuff like that. I think Blackwing doesn't see any play in the current meta either. So you might try to bring this back, because you can't really go to level 6 synchro easily anymore. So yeah, why not give it a try? Also, there's a lot of protection being run, so this guy doesn't automatically get a plus over Stardust Dragon like it used to do in the Kintele format. So it might be worth a try, but there's no guarantee for it. So don't really expect it, but think of it. I got myself an ultimate rare copies just in case. I really like the card. Yeah, and the last card which could come off the ban list in my opinion is Dark Magician of Chaos. Dark Magician of Chaos is an amazing card, especially along with Reborn, which in my opinion is the reason why Reborn should be banned, but I'll tell you more about that in my second episode. And the main reason why I think Dark Magician of Chaos could come back is because it's gonna be reprinted in the new Battle Pack, Battle Pack Epic Dawn, I think. And that's a strong hint. That's something like Black Luster Soldier in War of the Being being in Gold Series 4, I think. Gold Series 4. And because of that, I really think this card might actually come back, but if it comes back, they need to ban the Reborn. Because Reborn plus this card is just ridiculous. You can always discard it for some shit, go Reborn, get Reborn back, Reborn the one of your opponent, Reborn back, Reborn something else, and have like 80k attack points on the field, and just say good game. And that's just out of one Reborn with those guys in the grave. So yeah, if Dark Magician of Chaos is really meant to come back, they really have to ban Monster Reborn. And maybe restrict DDR, because DDR is really good with this card too. We will see if this sees any play and if it's going to be unbanned, but just keep it in the back of your mind. That's for the banned cards, which might be limited to 1 again. And now we go on with the cards that have been restricted and might be unbanned. First off, Luminal Lightsworn Summoner. I think Lightsworn's really dead, has been dead for 3 formats now, and I don't think that Lumina back to 2 would really change everything, because Lightsworn's still so draw dependent, and even with 3 Judgment Dragons, it can sack the OTK, but it's not very likely to do that, so Lumina could go back to 2, safe decision. Another card, Grand Mole. Grand Mole's like really good, but it's not broken. It's like it's a +1 against XYZ or a Synchros, but other than that, it can be a minus against stuff like Stratus or Armageddon Knight or stuff like that. That get those cards that get their effects when summoned. And on top of that, it's just a 900, 300, and can easily be beaten by Smashing Ground, which is a lot of play. Can be negated by Dolka, etc., etc. So just to give anti-meta players an edge over the mighty XYZs and Synchros they have to face, just put it back to 2, so you can run a second one in the side deck and have another out. I think that's not too bad. Buried from the other dimension, I mean, like, as long as Mizuki stays on 1, this card's like not even close to broken. You can easily unrestrict it to 3, because to be honest, who would really run this card just for Necro Gardener? And I don't think that Zombie will see a lot of play, even if this card's back to 3 either. So yeah, it is like a worse Reborn, given the fact that you have a Mizuki in play already, and that really doesn't make it too strong in my opinion. Then we have Limit Area B. I mean, like, this card's pretty much the same as Gravity Bind, and Gravity Bind is back to 3 for ages, I think. So I don't really see why this card's still limited. Also, the XYZ aren't affected by level limit area B, so they would just run through it, and pretty much every deck runs XYZ right now. Plus, the card really doesn't do anything ridiculously good. It just switches all level 4 higher monsters to defense position, which in a meta where you have tour guides and sectors and stuff like that, all levels 3 or lower, and a lot of stuff that shoots cards, this card's like really bad in my opinion. So even if you run a countdown or stall like that, this card won't see any play. So just put it back to 2 or 3. No one would care. Another card that's being limited for 2 formats now is Book of Moon. Book of Moon is a really good card. It's really flexible, and you can use it in multiple situations to your advantage. But what makes me think it could go back to 2 is that the XYZ don't lose their material, so it's not as good as it was against Synchros, where you could just book the Synchro material, run over it, and get a plus. Because XYZ materials don't necessarily have to be those weak-ass tuners that get easily run over. For example, just imagine your opponent plays Tour Guide from the Underworld, special summon this Hang-On, and you have the choice whether to book one of their monsters or let the XYZ go through. Unless it's really important, you would probably not book their monster, because Turret is a +1 if you book it randomly, it's a +2, and you still have to have something to get over both monsters before they can XYZ next turn. So Book of Moon is not really that good anymore. It's really good, but it's not that good anymore that it should be limited to 1. Also adds flexibility to some decks and improves their options. Just another out to Lagia, Dolka, and in my opinion this card could go